Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction, soon to be Through the Storm podcast. Hey, we've got a really good title for you today. It's The Stoic Alcoholic. It's not only about counting days. So I'm going to introduce our guest, Benton Savage, here in just a minute. But before I do, I just want to say thank you to Emergo Academy. That's Emergo, Emergo Academy. Check them out, guys. I took their training to be a crisis and recovery coach. It's an amazing, amazing course. Even if you're not interested in becoming a coach and just want to take the course just to help yourself, because you guys hear me say this week in and week out, their course really helped me get through a lot of troubled times in my life. And it's all about the brain first approach, understanding and learning a lot more about what's happening inside of here, because that's usually where a lot of our problems start. It's inside of here where we feed on it. When we learn how to recognize these things and learn how to do other actions and take other steps, it really helps us get through our day. And I think we're actually going to be sharing a lot about that even today with the title, The Stoic Alcoholic. It's not only about counting days. I think we'll probably even be talking about that because Benton has got a couple books that I'm excited for him to even share about. But without further ado, Benton, thank you so much for reaching out to me and showing an interest to being on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I do appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've had a lot of struggles in your life, like so many of us, right? And a
Mhm.
lot of times when we go through those struggles, we end up making wrong choices. And a lot of times those choices create more wrong choices, and we just seem to snowball. But for some reason or somehow, whether it's a higher power, whatever it may be, something seems to stop us in our track, or we just hit a wall. Some people say they finally hit rock bottom and they woke up. Is that what you found out for yourself? Because I mean, my gosh, reading your bio, you are doing so many amazing things right now. And you was just sharing before we started recording how well your book is doing, and it's only been out a week, which I think is phenomenal. So if you'd let our audience know a little bit about the title, which is the title of the show, and what got you started in doing what you're doing.
Well, I started the Stoic Alcoholic. I thought about it for about a week. I really wanted to quit drinking. It wasn't a rock bottom for me. I've had so many rock bottoms that this was a low point, but it wasn't any lower than 100 other times. It was just I was ready to just ready to step it up. And I'd gone to AA. I had never been to official rehab, but I've been to AA several off and on for 25 years. And it never really quite worked out for me. I never really enjoyed it. I got to thinking, I've been writing off and on for about 20 years. And I was like, I'm just going to keep a diary of my first 360. The original title was The Stoic Alcoholic, the first 366 days of sobriety. And I made it about 100 days before I started drinking again. I made it to 90. I wrote for 60 days. Things got a little weird. I was having some struggles, and I've got a little mental health issues in my history too, which kind of makes it a little troublesome sometimes when I have problems. But I did go about 100 days, 95 to 100 days, and I fell off for another 4 months. And I didn't write anything for 4 months. And then I was like, I thought the book was over. Because when I said, I was like, if I don't go 366 days, the book's worth nothing. Nobody wants to read about somebody who went 360 days out of 366 days sober the first. And then after 4 months, I was like, well, I need to finish this. I need to just go to February 4th of this year and just finish the book and just see what happens. And I did a lot better the second time around. I was still drinking a couple times during that time, but I haven't drank in a good month now. But I thought really the whole procedure of writing and analyzing my behavior every day, or probably 150 to 180 days of 360 days, was really a great exercise. I would recommend that to anybody as a therapy. I really do. It was the most important part of my hour or two of each day that I wrote was those 150 days I spent. Those were the most important 2 hours of the day when I would sit there and try to come up with something to write. It always involved alcohol. Sometimes it might involve other addictions like sugar or cigarettes or something like that. Just other things that I would use in its place, but it was all based around addiction. And it just saw patterns in my behavior just through just writing it every day. And the Stoic Alcoholic came from Well, I do write a little poetry, so that rhymes. So that's pretty nice. But I had been reading Stoics about the Stoic philosophers the last year or so, and I really thought they made a lot of sense. I've never followed philosophy in my life. I mean, I didn't even know who these guys were, to be honest, 2 years ago, and everybody knows who they are. I just didn't know. I just had never read anything about philosophy, and they're really great. And so I started reading their quotes, and so now I started writing my own quotes, and they're not the same, but similar kind of. And so each of the days of starts with a quote of mine that kind of signals what I'm dealing with that day, and then I try to write around the quote the best I can. And so that's what I did, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It turned out I a couple of I know have read it, and they're like, really, Benton, the relapse is what makes the book so good. Is that you go through the part that you did so well for so long, but you were kind of white knuckling it, kind of just grinding it out, kind of. But it really was a helpful exercise, and I'm really doing well right now. I'm really doing well for the last couple months. So
Awesome.
it seems like it's been a positive. I'm doing well. That's all I can say. You take it day by day, minute by minute, whatever you can do.
Yeah, yeah, I got this bracelet on my arm that says ODAT, 1 day at a time,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's a great philosophy for everyone to really follow, not just people who are battling with addiction, right? It's just 1 day at a time.
Yes.
And if you don't mind sharing, when you was journaling all this, because I think that is really cool what you did. I think it's a really good thing. And I'd have to agree with you saying you would recommend people to do that. Did you start noticing your own patterns that you didn't really recognize before by doing that?
I did. I did. And I did. I can't really specify, but I mean, just it was just interesting really thinking about just realizing, because there's several times in those first 100 days. Well, not that I'd want to drink and I could fight it off pretty easy. I've quit several times through the years for 6 months, 9 months, a year even before. But I've always come back and I was like, I really want to quit for good. I mean, this 6 months here, 6 months there, when you always want to drink, but you're not drinking, what is that, dry drunk or you're really not doing that well if you really want to drink and you really want to drink, but you're just not going to drink because you're just not going to drink. And
Yeah.
I'm at that point where I mean, I still kind of want to drink, I guess, but not really. I know the repercussions are so bad, but I'm at a better place than I have been the last umpteen times I've tried to quit. And I do credit it to the journal. I do credit and timing and all that, but I mean, the journal was certainly helpful. I would highly recommend it. I was thinking that early on. I was like, this could be a new therapy. And I have a good friend, and he's read part of the book. He's mentioned in the book, and he's been alcohol free for 5 months. He's like, how did you come up with that idea? That's a pretty good idea. It might work for you. And I was like, I don't know. I just came up with it. He was like, well, that's pretty good. I mean, he'd done the AA thing and rehab and all that, and but he's like, that might. And he talks. He doesn't push me into AA or rehab. He's one of those. He knows I have a problem, and we talk about it openly. But when I told him I was doing that, he was like, "Yeah, that's great." He's like, "That might really work for you," and it did. It did seem to. It's working so far.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I feel at least my version is, excuse me, that there's so many different ways of recovery.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's people who can do it through AA. There's people who can do it through medical assisted treatment. There's people that can do it through microdosing. There's people that can do it through holistic practices. There is
Mm-hmm.
just so many different ways. And now science is really coming out with a lot of different ways of recovery as well, and even helping with like triggers and traumas and depression, and it's all learning about the brain, right? Which I mentioned with
Yes.
the Emergo Academy at the beginning of the show. And so I think the AA stuff and all that has just been amazing. It has literally saved thousands and thousands of individuals. However,
Mm-hmm.
with the way that science is nowadays and the way they're starting to understand how the brain works, again, there's new ways that I'm starting to see. And I've had so many guests come on my show and talk about different ways that they've recovered.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that there was anything bad with the old ways. It just did not work for them. So I think it's important to find our own way, our own path, because my shoe may not fit on your feet, right? So it doesn't mean it's a one size fits all thing. So I think this is a really cool thing that you came up with.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I
I
was pretty
bet.
proud of it, and it was fun. I really looked. I mean, I looked forward to it when I did it. When I was writing those days, I really looked forward to it. And I read quite a few books. I actually read one book that was really effective. I read it, like I said, I started February 4th of 2025 and finished February 4th, 2026. But around November, January, I read a book called AF, Naked Alcohol Free. It's a pretty popular book. I don't know if you're familiar with it,
I am not.
but it was the one of the first lines, one of the first pages of the book said, "If you're drinking alcohol right now, go ahead. By the end of the book, you won't want to." And I was like, "Well, this sounds like a book that I'm going to read," and I did read it. I read it in full. And it really, I used that book. I can't think of the author right now. I've got the book right on my shoulder. I just don't want to leave.
Yeah.
But it is a great book, and the only thing I will say that really surprised me, it dismissed some of the AA ideas, saying, a lot of people say that AA is an allergy, alcoholism is an allergy, or alcohol is an allergy, and her point was, you know, you're you're born with an allergy, and or she was just she said, anybody could become an alcoholic if they just continue to drink over and over and over, even if they don't have that quote addictive personality. She's like, if you drink enough, you will get hooked on alcohol. And basically, what it came to me was I realized that yes, I can continue to drink, but every time I drink, my life is going to be a little bit worse. I'm going to be a little bit worse off financially, a little bit worse off emotionally, and the good time I might have is really not paying off anymore. It's just not paying off. I still feel like I could drink if I wanted to. I know I'm not completely saying I won't ever drink again. I probably won't. I mean, I hope I won't. But if
Yeah.
I do, that's why I came up with it's not only about the day count, because if you do drink, you don't, if you've gone 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and you drink, you don't have to give up and say, "Oh, I lost. I gave up. It's all over. My day count's gone." Just pick them up by the bootstraps, so to speak, and just get over that day or 2 days, or whatever it takes, and just start back over. I mean, 2 days lost is not a big deal, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I mean, a day count is important. I'm not questioning. I'm just saying there's so many times I've had a day count that I've dropped. I'm like, just throw my hands in the air. I give up. I can't do it. And I think it's really important to say, you're not perfect. Okay, you fell off. Big deal. You had a bad day. Get back on it. Most likely the end of the world didn't happen on that day or two or however long you were off. I mean, you can always start back over. So, it's really a mindset that you don't want alcohol to be part of your life, and you realize that it's not going to improve your life at all. In fact, it's going to hurt yourself even a little bit, either financially or emotionally or something. It's just not going to help for somebody like me. It's not even going to help me socially. I'm better socially without alcohol at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the counting the days in the title, Benton. I really
Yeah.
do. And the reason why is I had a guest on my show probably about 4 years ago, and he battled with an addiction. And it got to the point to where literally he was contemplating committing suicide. As a matter of fact, he was on his way to a bridge to jump off the bridge and in his life. And he decided to say a prayer before he jumped. And after he got done saying the prayer, he heard this voice, and he says, I heard the voice so clearly that said, instead of beating yourself up for the days that you relapsed, start counting the days that you were sober. And he
Yeah.
said that it just stopped him in his tracks. And he was on a business trip, and he went back to his hotel, and he called his wife, told his wife what was going on. He literally flew his wife to the place he was at. And he says, we sat in the hotel room for a day or day and a half, and we just sat there on the floor and cried together and held each other. And he really opened up. And he said, what really helped him was, and I'm sure you know this, and so many of our listeners know this. I even know this. When we do have a relapse or when we do fall off the wagon, however you want to put it, we
Mm-hmm.
start shaming ourselves again. And
Mm-hmm.
this creates that hamster wheel, right? We get right back on that hamster wheel and we start turning ourselves around and again. However, if we take that and instead of shaming ourselves, congratulate ourselves, going, well, wait a minute. I went 30 days once. I made 60 days. I made it 6 months. Why am I
Hmm.
celebrating that? And he said that really helped him to look at it in a different way. He said now he still relapsed here and there, but instead of beating himself up for relapsing, he started going, my gosh, I made it 7 days this time. Then the next time he goes, oh my gosh, I made it 70 days this time. Oh my gosh, I'm a year in already, right? And it's because he started patting himself on the back and celebrating instead of diminishing himself for making a wrong choice.
I agree with that 100%. Like the first half of the book, or roughly half the book, I'm completely sober, writing every day, and then I really went on a 4 or 5. I'm not even sure. It was so long, and I was shaming myself. I was so mad. I was like, that book's gone. I'm done. I can't do it. I actually looked into doing one of those map programs where they give you. I don't even know exactly what it is, but I mean this last ditch effort. And I mean, that's for criminals and stuff, basically. I was signing up for it voluntarily. I had a hard time. I mean, I didn't ever do the programs what I'm getting around to, but I was desperate. I was willing to even do that. I mean, if it makes me sick on drinking alcohol, I'll do it, whatever it takes. I know that's just a Band-Aid, but we're going to try something here. And I never got to that point where I did it, but I really did shame myself for those 4 months. I drank heavily for 4 or 5 months. I mean, heavily, just normal. I mean, back to normal. Not a care, plenty of cares in the world, plenty of problems were popping up. And then I was like, start back up. Just finish this year strong. Just finish what you started, and just see what happens. And I had a few more relapses over the next couple of months. And a couple times I drank on purpose. I was like, just to see if I could drink 2 beers. And a couple times I did. And it's like, this isn't any good. I mean, this isn't fun. What am I? I mean, I could do it, but it's a struggle. I could do it one day. I certainly couldn't do it every day. I could drink 2 beers and call it a day. And, about a week later, I'd be back on full force. And, I just realized this just isn't fun anymore. This is just not fun for me anymore. I'm just not enjoying this. It's bringing me all kinds of stress, which we all know. It's
Mhm.
bringing me all kinds of stress. I'm like, I'm doing so much better when I'm not doing alcohol. I mean, I got so many more things going. The last month, I've been so productive. I've been as productive. Those 2 months when I was just writing and stayed alcohol free and doing my little work thing, I was the most productive I've been in probably 20 years. For 2 months, I was just steady, just steady. I wasn't sleeping much. I was just knocking it out. And now I'm right back in that same thing, but I've got a little better head on it because I'm not thinking. That whole time I was like, what about one more? Now I'm not really thinking about one more at all anymore. I'm really, really content. I thought that in the past. You always think that you got it under control, but I'm feeling pretty good, but you don't want to feel too good. And I'll tell you this, somebody did tell me this, because I don't even think day by day is good enough, because I can wake up and say, today I'm going to be sober. 5 o'clock rolls around, and within 10 seconds, I can be walking out the door to go to the liquor store to buy a bottle. 30 seconds before that, I would not have drank in a million years. 20 seconds later, I'm walking out the door to get a bottle of alcohol, get a bottle of liquor. It really can be minute by minute, because I was so impulsive with it and had so many bad habits. I mean, I was drinking at 9 in the morning, 5 days a week there
Mhm.
for the last few years. So, I mean, it was always on my mind. I mean, I was waking up at, knocking out a fifth, waking up at 7, go to the liquor store when to open at 9, and just over and over and over. So I had so many bad habits. My whole life was revolving around alcohol. And it was a tough. I mean, I had a lot of cycles to break. I mean, it was a lot of triggers out there. And by the end, I was just drinking alone. I rarely went to bars or restaurants. I mean, I did, but I didn't have that many friends toward the end, because I mean, who wants to be around somebody who's drunk at 9 o'clock? I mean, even the drunks don't want to be around somebody who's drunk at 9 o'clock. I mean, they're like, you're the devil. I mean, who wants to be around you? You're not going to help out.
Yeah. And did you find while you was writing your book also how your personality had changed throughout the years?
Yes. Well, yes, yeah, my personality, I don't know if my personality has changed that much. I'm really, the last 5 years, I got to be a really mean drunk, not really mean in person, just mean as hell text. I mean, mean as hell text to people that deserved a hell of a lot better than that from me. And, they forgive me. I guess they shouldn't. I mean, some of the things I said were so awful. I just get so wound up and mad, and I just start texting my mom, my sister, girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, whoever I thought would listen, or whoever I thought would take it. And I don't know what I was thinking, but it was awful. It was awful. I mean, I would wake up the next day. I couldn't even read them the next day. I knew what I said, kind of, but I really wouldn't remember it. And eventually they just kind of cut me off, like, you can't talk to me like that. You can't text me like that and expect me to be your friend. You've just pushed it too far. You're saying things that are just so outrageous that I'm not going to deal with. I was just a mean as hell drunk, but not like a fighter or anything like that, and really not that much in person, even though I can be combative. But never like that, never like those text messages, which is so easy to be mean when you're just blindingly text. You don't have a face to even look at. All you're doing, I get so wound up. I've got OCD anyway, so I can get something in my head and it'll just go crazy. And that contributes to my alcoholism too. I'm sure is the extreme case of OCD I have, which was diagnosed very late. And once I was diagnosed with that, that helped me understand my behavior a little bit, quite a bit. And OCD is one of those. I mean, I went 20 years at diagnosed as bipolar and then schizophrenia before they diagnosed me as extreme OCD. So I was completely with the wrong diagnosis. And looking back on my life, my whole life is completely obsessive compulsive. I mean, over and over, not even with drinking, just over and over, this repeating behavior over and over. I was a really good runner when I was in high school just because it's all effort. Just run every day and you'll get pretty good at it. And that
Yeah.
was perfect for somebody like me.
Wow.
So obsessive compulsive was over and over my behavior. Anything I did. It still is to say. It can be effective in some things, but alcohol is not one of them. And
Yeah.
relationships aren't one of them either.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a bad combination, drinking and relationships.
Yeah. But OCD is pretty good for a runner. Just run. Just keep
Yeah.
on running.
Well, and it keeps your mind occupied.
Yes.
So many of my guests that have come on this show, has talked about that drinking, and you mentioned it even earlier, right? Where you just wasn't having fun anymore, where they were just social drinkers, and then something just happened, whether it was something they were holding in their life that they didn't realize they were holding on to. Because I found
Hmm.
that out a lot even with my addiction. I mean, I did an 8-year weekend cocaine and alcohol, and I used
Hmm.
it that well as it helps relieve stress from work, and it helps me to where I'm not thinking about things and I can just have a good time, and then Sunday would come and I'd clean my act up again and be great until the next Friday again, and then start the pattern all over again, like what you're saying. It's that pattern. And I did
Yeah.
it 8 years, every weekend for 8 years. As I started working on myself and working on going on a different path, I started realizing it wasn't really all about just relieving my stress. It was so much more. I was carrying so much more inside of me that I didn't realize I was doing, and when I finally started working on that, it really started helping with my whole journey into with the direction that I've gone since 2009. And I was just figuring that stuff out. And I think that's the hardest part for the majority of us, because it's hard for us to look at ourselves eye to eye in the mirror and say, what are my faults? What is going on with me? Not what's wrong with me, right? Because we all have issues that we've got, but just
Hmm.
what is happening inside of me? What is causing me to be addicted to, excuse me, addicted to alcohol or drugs or porn or gambling or eating or work or whatever, gaming, whatever the hell it may be? What is
Hmm.
causing me to fall into this to be comfortable? And then also, like you said too, it is fun and enjoyable at the start. And it slowly digs its claws, its talons. I like to use the eagle because their talons are
Yeah.
sharp, right?
Hmm.
Slowly digs in deeper and deeper and deeper. And then by the time we realize it, we don't know how to get them damn things out of us.
Yeah. I've been down that road. Around 2009, I had a cocaine habit too. And I was doing cocaine before work sometimes. I was living in New York City doing real estate, and I eventually got fired from the job basically because of that.
Hmm.
And I was doing pretty well. Hell, I can phone call like a crazy man doing that, but I really wasn't too personal. Um, but I mean, I did that, and I did kick that. I still dabbled in, but I really had a bad one there for about 5 years. I mean, I was a 5 day a weeker, and my nose is all messed up to this day. It's a nightmare. That's the worst thing I've ever done. I hate cocaine more than anything in the world. And yeah. I mean, it does get great. I haven't been a weekend warrior since high school though. By the time I got to college, I was 4 or 5 times a week and never quit really, other than my brief, sometimes abstaining, sometimes a month, sometimes even as maybe a year, definitely 6 or 9 months. I can't remember my longest. I had several attempts that were fairly successful, but I was so miserable every time I did it. I was miserable to be around. I'd go somewhere and I'd just be miserable. I remember there's that book I mentioned earlier. She was talking about how she could go out with her good friends who drank after she was sober, and she could have a good time. Then she went on a business trip, like she traveled abroad, maybe to London or something. And she was with some people that she really liked to drink with when she was working, on her previous business trip. She went out, she's like, I just don't enjoy drinking with these people like I did my real friends back home. She's like, I'm just not going to put myself in that situation, not because I'm tempted to drink, just because I'm miserable. Everybody's sitting around drinking, telling stupid stories, and you're just sitting there going, I got better things to do than this, tell all war stories. War stories to somebody sober is really not very much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not much fun to hear. I mean, it's like, yeah, I've been there, done that. Yeah, I know. It's kind of the same old thing. Yeah, I've done it too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're drunk, you can kind of revel in them, but if you're sober, you're just like, God, I'm that guy, aren't I? I'm the guy who's been doing this for 20 years, telling these same stupid stories
Yeah. Yeah. Over and over again, huh?
over and over, remembering your best drunk and all that, and how stupid you were this one time when you did something so funny. And it was funny, but it's so sad too. But yeah, I just that was a good step too, to realize, because in the past I've tried to like not change my life other than not drink alcohol. You do need to change your life a little bit. I mean, you don't need to be hanging out at bars, and even if that's the only way you've socialized for the last 20 years of your life, you don't need to be going to bars or restaurants or whatever you do. I mean, you can go to restaurants, but I mean, you don't need to be going to a bar. I mean, if you're not drinking alcohol, you have no business being in a bar. I mean, you're not going to pick. I mean, who wants to hang out with a sober person at the bar? I mean, you're at the outside. I mean, I did that off and on for years. Like, oh, that's cool. You're drinking non-alcoholics. I'm like, yeah, that's real cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they don't think it's cool. They're just being nice. I mean, they're thinking you're an idiot. But it's just stupid. I mean, it's just dumb to be in a bar if you're not drinking. I mean, nothing wrong with people that can do it and have a good time. More power to them. But for me, that's just asking for trouble. I mean, that's just asking for problems. I mean, yeah, if you go to a bar enough, of course I'm going to drink. I'm not crazy. I'm not that crazy. Of course, everybody's drinking around me. Of course I'm going to drink eventually. I mean, I got that. I mean, I like to drink sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, of course I'm going to drink if I go to a bar with my friends or go to a bachelor party or something. Of course I'm going to drink or be very tempted and miserable.
Yeah, well, and it is misery, right? And it can be misery both ways. I had a guest one time say that, he first started drinking out or started drinking because it was a lot of fun, and he felt like he was the life of the party, right? Everyone liked
Yeah.
him. He's the jokester, and then as it went on, he started getting into the alcohol more and more and more. And then he's realizing, I feel good before I drink, and then I drink to have a good time just to wake up and be miserable again.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell am I doing? And he goes, again, not anything against people who go out to do that, but it's like people go out to drink to have a good time just to wake up the next morning and feel like shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, why do I keep doing this to myself? Because I do have a good time. And it took him a long time to get to where he could go out with friends and go to a bar and not drink, but he learned how to still have a good time. He had to really change his whole mind perspective, going, I don't need to drink to have fun. It's all in my head. If I feel like I have to have alcohol just so I can have fun, I'm doing something wrong in life. That's how he put it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that, like I said, that book I read, she still did go to bars or drinking things with her really good friends, but going somewhere where she's like, a business trip where it's a little more superficial, I guess. And she just said she didn't enjoy it. She wasn't going to put herself in that position anymore. She's like, I didn't enjoy it. Why am I doing it? Just to be cool? That's not cool.
Yeah.
To hang out, I'm not enjoying myself. Why would I want to do that? I can go back home and read a book or watch TV or whatever I want to do and have a good time, enjoy myself.
Isn't it crazy how we talk to younger kids as we get to adults about, peer pressure, about
Yeah.
don't fall in the wrong crowd and don't feel pressured to do something just because they're doing it, even though you may know that it's wrong. But yet we find ourselves, even as adults throughout our
Yeah.
adulthood, that we end up doing the same damn thing. Like
yeah.
you said, oh, well, I don't want to not drink because then I'm not like with the cool kids,
Oh,
basically.
yeah.
But
Oh, I remember.
it'll
Oh,
take us.
you got to basically tell everybody you're not drinking because you go out and all of a sudden oh, I'll have a Coke, and they're like, what's going on here? And everybody's kind of thrown off thrown off what's going on, but oh, I'm really proud of you. I wish I could do it. All that crap.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, you don't really wish you could do it. You're just saying the not right things. You're thinking I'm being weak or whatever else. And alcohol or quitting is for whatever, rehabs for quitters and all that stuff. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I remember one time I quit for like a month. I was out at a business function, and we went around the room. We were like at a big table of 12 in a New York City restaurant, all guys. Everybody's ready to get drunk. And I've been like a month sober, and I really hadn't told any. I didn't know like half the people knew half the people I drank with heavily one time in my life, so they knew me as the life of the party. And I'm going out with this big group, and I'm ordering a Coke, and they just looked at me like, "Ugh, you're such a downer." So I drank. I mean, it was really weak. I can remember that time because I was so mad at myself because I didn't want to drink, but I was like, God, this is gonna be awful. It's gonna be awful for everybody if I don't drink. And I don't know how the night went. I don't know. It's one of many.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. Some of my guests have even talked about losing a lot of friends because when they stopped drinking and they went out with them, they started treating them differently, like, oh, you think you're better than us just because of
yeah,
this and because of that. And it's so crazy. And you know, luckily they stayed on their path, but they realized they even had to change their new set of friends. And it's like, it's not that I didn't like them. I still wanted to hang out with them, but I got tired of them thinking that I was better than them because I'm not. I'm just choosing a different path in my life as it
right.
was.
I'll tell you what also affected me a lot. I had made a good. I live in Fort Walton Beach, Florida now. I've lived here for the last 5 years or 6 years now, and I'm in the area. I own a short term rental business, and I met a guy who's in the short term rental business that owned one right beside me. He got sober before I met him, but he was a weekend warrior like you. I don't think he just said based on the weekends he got drunk as hell, and then he started come Monday or Sunday he just started over and did it over. And he just said he woke up one morning and they call this spontaneous sobriety. I don't know if you ever heard of that term,
Uh-uh.
but I was in that book I read. But he just said he woke up one. He didn't know he's never heard the phrase, but he just said he woke up and said, I'm tired of feeling like this. And I've known him for 5 years. He never tells me old war stories. He's seen me drunker than hell so many times. He never gives me a hard time. I can just tell he's just content. He's not married. He's got a dog, and he's been married. He's just happy. And I was like, that guy has found peace. I mean, he has found peace. And I watched that for 3 years, and he never once told me, you need to quit drinking. When I did quit drinking a few times, he's like, I can tell you're not drinking. You're doing a lot better. But he never said, even when I was like knee walking, he never said, I don't want to be around you right now. You're too drunk. He just dealt with it. And
Mm.
it's a good friend that dealt with it, and he never said a word. I'm almost tearing up because he was so nice about it. And he really was my hero. And then I had my big brother in my fraternity went sober about 5 years ago, and both those guys are the only friends I mentioned in the book. And just because they're successful sober people, and I don't mention them much, but I did refer to them a little bit just because they were kind of my inspiration. Because I have a lot of friends, they're like, they didn't really want, like you said, they don't really want you to quit drinking. They're like, it's not going to work out. You've tried this before and you go just as crazy. I'm like, I know, but I got to try. I mean, I can't just live like this. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what's crazy is us on the other side, when my past wife was battling and you hear it from so many people. It's like, why can't you just stop? I mean, seriously, why can't you just stop? And
Yeah.
they don't realize how hard it is again when those talons dig so deep
Yeah.
into, and you do get that peer pressure from other people going, oh, come on, just have one. One's not going to hurt you. Well, they don't realize that one is going to hurt you. It's going to do a
I
million things.
I did address that in the book. I do have a line because you hear that all the time. Why can't you just have one or two and call it a quits? People say that still. Not now because I don't really hang around those people anymore because they piss me off. But I was like, I don't know why I can't have one or two. I can't. Don't be an asshole about it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't. I mean, I wish I could, but I can't. I don't know why, but I can't. And, I had another friend that said, my brakes, he tells people, why don't you drink? My brakes went out long ago. My brakes went out. I can't stop. And that was my problem. I just couldn't stop. When I got started, I mean, it was drink till pass out every time. Every time. If I didn't pass out, I'll keep on drinking. Why would I stop?
Yeah.
I mean, I lived a lifestyle, a job and a lifestyle that I could, pass out at midnight, get up at 8 and function, not function, but do the minimal to get by in life. I mean, I could do it. It wasn't good. I made a lot of mistakes, but I mean, I got by.
Yeah. Well, then looking forward to that next drink, right? To help you kind of feel good again.
Oh, it's always about the next drink. The second day of February 5th, 2025, the second day I dressed, the first day I drank alcohol, first time I drank alcohol was 14 or 15. I was in boarding school in Chattanooga and I drank 4 beers in about an hour. And my whole life changed from then. From that moment on, from that night on, my main focus was when I could drink again. From that very first time, I'm not saying that's how all alcoholics begin, but from that moment on, my life changed a lot. Everything was more important than alcohol. I was a great athlete in high school, and I was still a pretty good athlete in high school, but I just faded. Just everything became less and less important. I drink more and exercise and do sports less, and finally the sports are gone.
Yeah.
And you hang on there for a while, but eventually just alcohol's everything. But it became the most important or the most satisfactory time, most happy time of my life from definitely in high school. I mean, I look forward to the weekends all the time.
Yeah. It's your best friend until it's not, right?
Yeah. Well, I knew people were calling me I was an alcoholic since I was a freshman in college. I just laughed it off. But,
Uh,
I mean, I was showing tendencies really early on. I just fought through it, so they say.
yeah. Now, now you've written two books. Didn't you write one before you wrote this one that Stoic Alcoholic?
I've written 4 books in the last 2 years, but the other one you're probably talking about is called Wrong Side Out, Madness Misdiagnosed,
Yes,
which is
yes.
a similar kind of book. It actually came out in December of 2025, and it details I mean, there's a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of drinking in it, but it really deals more with my misdiagnosis. I was diagnosed with bipolar in 1998, and then was diagnosed as schizophrenia around 2019, and finally somebody told me I was OCD, and the mental health thing is crazy. I had some really. If you read that book, that's Stoic Alcoholic's almost pleasant read. Stoic Alcoholic, which is really, they're both really, really honest to the point of just God. I mean, I can't believe he did that. I can't believe he revealed that about himself. I mean, like urinating on myself and stuff like that because I thought I had a reason. I mean, just bizarro behavior. And I said, when I got out of mental hospital back in 2009, when I wrote this book originally, I was like, I'm just going to tell my story as honest as I can. And I don't care what anybody says. I'm just going to write this as honest as possible. This is what I'm thinking. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I did this. This is why I did that. And I stayed out of the hospital for 10 years after writing that book. And the book didn't get published. It was originally titled Wrong Side Out, The Bipolar Experience.
Hmm.
Later, I was diagnosed with other things, so I changed it to Wrong Side Out, Madness Misdiagnosed, and now it's published, and it's doing well. Neither of them are bestsellers, but I haven't given up hope. They're both self-published, more or less, but I am getting not a lot, plenty of talk from people that are interested in me and maybe getting with a bigger publisher. I don't know if that's going to happen, but obviously that's the hopes, and then it would pick up. I mean,
Yeah.
self-publishing is it's hard to get it out there.
Well, I tip my hat off to individuals who write books or get up and do public speaking or whatever it may be, even come on
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, right? That are honest and open, because at least one of the reasons of a few that I wanted to start this podcast was to allow people to come on and tell their story and be honest about it, which is crazy because probably the first year and a half, maybe even two that I started this podcast, I wasn't even sharing my own story, right? My guests were
Mm-hmm.
being vulnerable, and here's me being the host, not even being vulnerable. But I tip my hat off to individuals like that because you don't know who you're saving, right?
Yeah.
Because someone can watch this podcast that you and I are doing, Benton, and just one person could be in the same situation that I was in or the same situation that you've been in and go, oh my gosh, that's me. That's exactly what my life is right this very moment. And to be able to hear other people open up and talk about it, that's huge, right? Because
Hmm.
at least for me, I know how much weight I was carrying around by not opening up and not realizing. Even when my past wife was in the depth of her addiction, I kept it from friends and family because I didn't want anybody to judge her or anything. And it was
Hmm.
literally tearing me up inside without me even knowing it.
There's a lot of anger. I mean, I think to have that kind of addiction, there's got to be a lot of anger in you. There's got to be some hidden anger. You're not drinking because something is really pissing you off.
Mhm.
You think you got a raw deal in life somewhere along the line, and whether you did or not, it doesn't matter. You think you did, and once you need to try to figure out what that is. What is it that's really bothering you? You don't think about it. It's something you don't. It's something that's really bothering you, most likely. And I mean, I'm not even like molestation or anything like that. I mean, it could be something, but somewhere along the line, you got screwed over, and you're still angry about it. Or maybe you didn't like your dad, or maybe you didn't like your mom, or something, but you're angry about something and you're just masking the pain, not dealing with the pain by drinking or whatever you choose to go through it. Not everybody's drinking to do that. I don't know. If you're drinking excessively as I do, you've got something is bothering you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because basically, whatever the addiction is, whatever that may be, it is just the band-aid to keep us from feeling what we're really feeling.
Hmm. Yeah, I would highly, and I just thinking about those days when I was writing. I would really even I don't even sell the book. I more like want to sell the therapy of just take a year off your life and write every day. I swear it, and have a goal maybe of trying to get it published. I mean, that was at least I had a goal of I wanted to get. I'd been writing long enough. That was my goal, and it turned out. And I think it's good. I think it's a good book.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can be pretty self-critical about. I mean, I've been writing long enough that I've been told when my writing stinks. I know when it stinks, and this is pretty good. But I mean, I would recommend just the therapy of it. I mean, it really just think about what. Why are you drinking? Just think about what you think. Write about your past. Write about your future. Write about. I wrote about the first day I drank. I wrote about, my first week is basically detox. I was waking up every day. I was like, I woke up in another pool of sweat. And I had to change my sheets right when I got up and put on new clothes and start my day. I mean, that first week was awful. I was coming off a nasty bender, and I was coming off. I mean, I'd had the shakes and all that before, but this was one of the worst withdrawals I ever had. And I was kind of seeing somebody at times. She's like, you don't need to be doing that without medical help. I mean, that's dangerous. I was like, well, I'm not going to get medical help. We're just going to live dangerously on this one because I'm not messing around here. I'll be fine. It's just going to hurt like hell, and it did hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't feel like a lot of individuals out there understand that when you are a heavy drinker and decide to stop, it can kill you.
Yeah,
It's like one of those drugs that you just cannot stop. I mean, I remember, with the person that I was with, I thought it was an excuse just to get me to go buy more alcohol until really I had one of the therapists tell me that's like, no, no, she could die from this,
yeah,
and it's like a taper thing, or you have to go into a not a rehab, but detox. So
yeah,
it can help you medically to start winging yourself off of that, which was also hard for me to understand too, because even in detox with the stuff they give you when you're talking to the person, it's almost like they're drunk because they're
yeah,
slurring their words and
yeah.
it's really hard for us on the other side to understand that. But it can definitely kill you, and I don't think a lot of people out there get it.
No, and people said that to me. They're like, alcohol can kill you. And I'd be like, they'd see me really drunk at 9 in the morning. They're like, they know that this is normal behavior for me. They just know me well enough to know. They're like, alcohol can kill you, Benton. This isn't like smoking marijuana. It can kill you. And I don't know if I was ever had a near death experience, but I mean, I had some days on the couch where I'm just sitting there shaking. I mean, just sweating and dry heaving for 18 hours. I've got to be on the brink of just something. I don't know if I don't never felt like I was on death's door, but I mean, I felt like death.
Yeah.
You say you feel like death. I don't know if I was on death's door, but I didn't want to feel any worse.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
more than a regular hangover, that's for sure.
I just couldn't imagine that. Yeah, and again, it's hard for people who are not in that situation to understand it because they've not lived in those shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, it's yeah. You've got it takes time. You've got to realize you're gonna. I mean, my friend that did it his first time, I don't know how the hell he did that. That was in that book. They're like, some people can do it. Spontaneous sobriety is what she called it, and some people can do it. My friend did it, and I thought I might be able to do it. Wrong. But in the end, it is spontaneous because eventually you just quit. I mean, it is kind of spontaneous. You do have your last drink, so it is kind of spontaneous. But it's very hard to come off a real big bender and just never drink again. I mean, it takes some time to adjust to the change in lifestyle. It's a physical change, just everything, and just not wanting it anymore. It takes a while to just not want it anymore because I mean, I really don't want anymore. And my friend that had quit for 5 years has quit, and I guess he's at 6 or 7 now. And I was like, "Do you ever?" He's like, "Do you still want to drink?" He's like, "No, I don't." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "I just remember." He's like, "I just remember how bad the days were. I almost lost my family. I just can't risk that again." He's like, "I almost lost everything." He's like, "I don't ever want to go back there."
Hmm. Does it scare you to want to stop? And the reason why I asked that question is the individual that I was with, it scared her. It literally scared her going, can I go to a concert and have a good time again without drinking? Because I've always drank at concerts. Can I go to a party and not ever drink again? And still have a good time. And she told me many, many times that it scared her that her whole life is going to be completely turned upside down and different because she has done it for so long. Is that something that has crossed your mind going, man, I've gone
I
six
don't
months and I've
really.
gone
No, it has changed my life. I mean, I don't want to go to those kind of parties where I'm going to be affected by where that's going to be the main deal.
Mhm.
I don't want to go to those kind of parties. I mean, if it's a birthday party or something, maybe, but I mean, it's just say, everybody, but if going to a party where everybody's, the main, I mean, I, I don't know how my friends at 53 are acting right now because I don't really see my old friends that much. I've got new friends down here, but I'm sure they're just doing the same thing. A lot of them, I'm sure, are doing the same weekends. I mean, I wouldn't want to hang out with them. I mean, I'll talk to them on the phone, but I don't have any business hanging around somebody snorting lines and getting drunk as hell. I mean, what point, what business do I have to be with them? I mean, that's no fun. I mean, that's not fun for them either. I mean,
Yeah.
they can do what they want. I don't care. I don't care. I think it's kind of stupid to be doing it at that age, but they seem to do all right, so whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I don't feel comfortable at parties. I really don't. I mean, I don't feel uncomfortable. I don't feel tempted to drink. I'm just like, yeah, this would be a drinking day. Like today, I'm having kind of a bad day. I was like, yeah, I woke up and I was like, this would be a drinking day for sure. I would already been drinking. Yeah, normally, this would have been a drinking day. I was thinking that. I looked down on the clock, watched it, 9:03. I was like, this would have been a drinking day for sure. And
Mm.
it wasn't hard to skip it, but I mean, it would have been easy for me to walk out the door when I was drinking and say, ah, screw it. Tomorrow's another day. I'll just go through today. Tomorrow will come. I can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And now I don't even know my last day. I think it was like April 15th or something. I don't even know my exact last day. I know about when it was. I kind of figured I'd start up again. I just didn't. So it was around April 15th, but I don't know exactly. I really don't. And that's kind of sad. I don't even remember my last drink really. And I always thought and then there's many times I was like, I know I'll remember this one. And then, I've had so many times. I probably started out the night drinking, say 100 times in my life, not even more than that, probably 500 times, saying this is the last time I'm going to drink in my life, and get knee walking drunk, wake up the next day and say, well, I got to drink this one off. I cannot go through this day feeling like this. I just need another alcohol. I've probably done that 500 times my last day of drinking. And that is the worst because you will drink until you fall down on your last night. If you're planning your last night of drinking, you're going to go out with a bang. And I don't think the last time I drank, I went out with a bang, but I really can't remember it. I really can't. It wasn't because I was so drunk, I can't remember. It's just that it just wasn't that big of a day for me. It was just, I was slowing down a lot the last couple weeks, really, week here, week there. And I don't remember my last drink.
I've only had just a few people on my show, and I'm even one that I don't know what my sobriety date is.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just the decision was made and for me, I look at it as, why do I want to celebrate something where I was so miserable, right? And
Yeah.
celebrate it. And I have friends that celebrate it, and I'm so happy for them, right? That works for them.
Hmm.
And I'm there to pat them on the back, give them a hug, tell them congratulations. Because I've been guests on podcasts as well, and I've been asked, "What's your sobriety date?" And I'm like, I don't have a clue.
Yeah,
It's
I have a
serious.
clue. I just don't know the exact day.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's just been so recent, but and I haven't. Yeah, yeah, I kind of like not doing the day count, and not having the day count. It relieves a little. I mean, it's fine. I mean, if you're counting days, you can't get away from it. You're going to count the days, but I mean, it's kind of nice not counting the days because you don't. It doesn't really. It's just another day. I mean, a couple months. I've been sober a couple months. I mean, that's not even true. Probably 6 weeks, and that's not that long to really be claiming that I'm sober, but I put in a lot of work over the last year, and I think I can do something like this. I wrote a book about it, and which I'll tell you, you don't want to walk around with a book called The Sober Alcoholic and be drinking. You're
yeah,
going to lose credibility right there. So that does give me some motivation for sure. That does give me some motivation. When that book, I mean, I don't want to be coming on these podcasts and then going. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that went to AA and went home and drank. If I went home and drank after AA, I didn't go back for a long time.
yeah,
I didn't go. I didn't play the game where I went. And people say this, and they say this is the height of your problem when you go to the AA meeting and you walk out and you're just like, I need a drink. And that was how I was. I'd walk out of AA meeting saying, I need a drink. This place is making me want to drink. And I mean, I don't know if I ever went straight from an AA meeting to a bar, but I probably wasn't far behind it. I
yeah.
mean, AA just all those war stories just drove me crazy. I mean, I was just like, God, you think you got war stories? I can beat you all up and down.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of war stories. I used to go to some of the AA meetings to help support my
Yeah.
wife and heard some crazy stories. One thing though that I did admire, those that have changed their life, they understand what life is about, right? Because they damaged their life so bad, and they burned so many bridges, and to
Hmm.
see who they are today as individuals, whether they're writing a book, whether they started their own sober living, whether they're coaching, whatever it may be, to see who they are as individuals and how they look at life in general. I've
Hmm.
said this on the show quite a few times. I remember coming home from an AA meeting once with my wife, and I heard one of those war stories, right? And to see who this guy was standing up and telling a story and who he is today and what his life's like. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, you guys get it. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you guys get how to look at life. And she's like, I
Hmm.
don't understand. And I'm like, when you have dug a pit so damn deep and you've been in the dark for so long, and then you've worked your ass off, which was not easy, which has been a struggle to get yourself back up above ground and see the light again, you really understand the meaning of life, how important it is.
Hmm.
And that really hit me hard. It really hit me hard going, so many. I mean, I love being around people in the recovery community because I love to see their light and their energy and,
Hmm.
and how they look at life, right? They've gotten to where everything bothered them before, so they could go do whatever it is that they wanted to do to help
Hmm.
numb pain, to where it's like, well, um, it is what it is. I'm not able to control this and it's out of my hands. So I'm just going to go this direction and ride this thing out. And I have actually started living my life around that same motto as well. It's that, for me, I give myself to my higher power, who I call God, but it's like, man, all right, it's just going to work out the way it's going to work out, because there's not
Yeah.
someone who especially was a person who had to control everything that happened in his life, right?
Hmm.
I mean, that's why I was a liar and a manipulator, because I would go through you or around you, do whatever I could to do what Al wanted to do and make
Hmm.
happen what I wanted to make happen. Life has literally calmed down for me. Not saying that I haven't had shit balls thrown at me and hit square in the,
Yeah.
because it still happens. That's life. However, it's really helped me go through life a lot easier. And it's because of the individuals that I've surrounded myself with.
Yeah. Back to the burning bridges, the opening line of my book, well, I have a quote, one of my quotes before each day journal. The first one is pretty good. It's pretty good. I came up with it that day, I'm sure. I burned so many bridges in the past, I could see ashes before I approached them. You just
Oh,
know, when you're meeting somebody that this ain't gonna work out. I'm gonna get drunk and just screw it up, and you just have that mindset. You walk in knowing you're gonna fail in with a relationship, with a friendship, with any kind of relationship. You just know it's gonna fail. I burned so many bridges. I see ashes before. I mean, that's quite a little exaggeration, quite dramatic, but that is the opening. The only reason I bring it up because that is the opening line of the book.
I love that. I'm actually writing it down.
Yeah, I've got a lot of good ones like that, but that one, the few people that I know who've read the book are like, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I got a lot of good ones. And towards the end, I start quoting. I start the journal day with my quote, and then I quote other people, mainly Stoics, but Albert Einstein, people that had a unique take on what I was doing that day, what I was struggling with. Just famous people, maybe Picasso, just famous, mostly famous people quotes. Some not so famous, but great quotes. I'm
Yeah.
pretty good at quotes. I really read a lot of quotes. I write a lot of quotes. That's kind of what I write. I mean, I write novels, but I've been really focusing on like aphorisms these days and that kind of thing. And I write them. They come pretty easily to me, so I really get a lot out of it. And I really like them because I can do them like really spur of the moment, and they keep my mind busy. The main thing is keeping my mind busy. If I, downtime doesn't work for me, and TV time is not good downtime for me. I mean, I need to watch some TV to keep up, but I mean, I don't need to be watching TV like I was. I mean, at certain periods of my life, that's just dead time. That's just too much time in your head to like idle hands is the devil's workshop. It's so true.
Yeah, most absolutely. Where do you see your life going right now, Benton?
See, going well. I see. Well, what I'm doing right now, I own 5 short-term rentals on Okaloosa Island in Florida, which is Fort Walton Beach, and I'm looking to. I've owned and managed them for 5 years. That's what I've done. I've done pretty well, even when I was drinking, because they were my properties. But
Hmm.
now that I'm sober and doing well, and I've been working towards this for about a year now. That's another reason I got motivation. I got a little bit more focused in my life, is that I'm going to start managing other people's properties, which I mean, I'll be handling their money. And that's going to be a big responsibility. I've had some good jobs in the past. I was a real estate broker in New York for a while, but I wasn't actually, I was in charge of selling the property, but I wasn't actually in charge of their money. You know, I could have a, I could have a bad day and get away with it. But now in charge of people's money, that's serious stuff. I mean, that really is a step up, and I'll be honored if and when people start giving me that responsibility. I will. I've got a lot more to say. I'm still writing a lot every day, writing these aphorisms right now. But I've got other novels. I mean, published 4 books in the last 2 years,
Jeez.
and a couple of them they weren't all written in the last 2 years, but they have been. I've finally got active in the publishing. You got to it's very hard to get to get the Stephen King contract. You got to be Stephen King, and to be Stephen King, it is very hard to get published by a real traditional publisher unless you are well connected or somehow or another. You got to know the right people, and I don't know the right people. Still don't. I'm
Yeah.
starting to know some people, but I didn't know the right people. For 20 years, I didn't know the right people. And
Well,
I was in New York City, supposedly where the right people are.
well, you never know where it'll go, right? With what you do,
Yeah.
you may have someone come and rent one of your properties that might be just one of those people.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, good things are starting to happen. Good things happened that first 3 months I was sober, and good things have happened in the last 4 or 5 months when I've more or less been sober. And the last 2 months have been even better. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yesterday, I got like 2 calls about the Stoic Alcoholic, and they're like, "Hey, I told you that stat, and they're telling me that, and I was like, wow. I mean, this is a good day. I mean, this is good. This wouldn't have happened if I was sober.
Yeah, I love that.
I mean, if I was drunk, excuse me.
Yeah. So as we wrap up the show, we're coming right up to the hour. Is there any kind of advice you could give to our listeners that have lived like how you've been living?
I swear, what I was really most excited about when I was writing was not actually the publication of the book, was like this therapy really could work for some people. It could be a real kind of new kind of therapy if you really take it honestly, take it seriously, and you should have a goal of getting it published. I mean, you should have a goal of wanting somebody to read it. I mean, I didn't tell anybody I was writing it for the first month or 2 weeks, and then I got kind of settled in. I told a couple people just to kind of, and just do it. And you do that real hard self-analysis every day, you'll start to see patterns. You'll tear up some. You'll be emotional about it. You'll be emotional about it. If you're doing it right, I mean, I don't know if I did it right, but I mean, there were days where I'd like be, tearing up. I was like, God, this sucks. How did
Yeah.
I do that? Why did I do that? And what made me keep on going after that? I mean, God, I mean, like you said, some people hit that low point. There's so many low points in my life. The low point I hit on the final one was just another day at the office.
Mm,
It's just like I've just had enough days at the office like that.
yeah. So basically, you're just saying give it a
You can
shot,
take a
right?
day at a time. I would highly,
Write it
I mean,
down.
I more than read the book, I swear, just do it. Do what I did. I swear, if you don't like AA and you don't want to go to rehab, never went to rehab. It was never really pushed on me because everybody knew I would never go to rehab. I mean, it was suggested a few times, but I was like, nah, not going to happen. I don't have a month to take off. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ultimately it's going to come down to me. I do believe that you can do the buddy system at AA, but ultimately it is your decision. Nobody's making you put that stuff in your mouth. I used to be kind of heavy, and I was taking a medication that had a lot of weight gain, and the doctor said, Benton, it does have weight gain characteristics, but nobody's making you put that food in your mouth. You're putting it in your mouth on your own. And as soon as he told me that, I started to lose weight a little bit. I mean, it wasn't overnight, but I was like, he's right. I don't have to eat. I just feel hungry and I'm going to eat. And so I do think ultimately it's personal responsibility. However you get there, you get there. If you need the buddy system or want the buddy system, that works. If you want to write and do it, I mean, you just whatever works for you. I mean, whatever it takes. But keep your eye on the goal, and live a day at a time. But make sure keep an eye on the future because your future will change. That was what I thought I'd be in a really healthy relationship by the end of the year, and I'm not in any relationship, which is fine. But I really figured I'd be in like a healthy relationship after a year of it. But my life is so much better that I could be in a healthy relationship. It's just hadn't happened. But I figured it'd be so dramatic, and it's been dramatic in many ways, but it doesn't happen overnight. It's just a whole different mindset on life.
I love how you put that, and thank you for sharing that, right? It's all about our choices. We can choose one way or we can choose the other way. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, it really does come down to you. And I mean, you can always come up with an excuse. You can always come up with an excuse to drink. I could easily come up with an excuse right now. I could come up with an excuse so easy. Maybe not now, but at 9 o'clock this morning, I had an excuse ready to roll. And I could have done it. You can always come up with an excuse. There's always one. There's always an excuse.
And you can always come up with an excuse not to as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Either way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a mindset. You got to get it. It's not going to happen overnight. At least it didn't for me. It takes years, and you got to want it. But
Yeah.
there is, I will tell anybody, nobody drank more than me. I mean, really, I don't know how I'm alive, really. When you drink 9 o'clock in the morning, more or less half the days for 15 years, and then you drink most of the other days, period, I mean, you're just a drunk. I mean, you're just a drunk. I mean, I could kind of function. I mean, I had 4 DUIs in that time. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was a complete menace to society, and nobody could drink more than me. Not really. I mean, there was a period when I lived in Tennessee back in 2016 to 2018. I was opening up the convenience stores. They didn't sell liquor in my hometown, so I'd open up the convenience stores at 6:30 and buy a 12 pack of Bud. Start my day right then. I'd wait till the store was open. It's awful.
Yeah,
Did that for years.
I had a guest on my show. We titled the show. He said this in the show. What was it? He says, I drank my breakfast. I snorted my lunch and I smoked my dinner.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
said his
That's
day
quite a
was
pattern.
like
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
that's the patterns. Get drunk, you do a little bit to keep you going, and then you want to wind down the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole pattern. That's the pattern right there. That is the
That
pattern.
is the pattern.
But That is the pattern when you're really going all. It's been a while since I've done that pattern, but that is the pattern.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Benton, thank you so much again for
Sir.
reaching out and for being a guest on my show and being so open and honest and vulnerable and telling your story. That means a lot to me. It means a lot to the listeners. And I really do feel that someone will see this show and go, my gosh, what a great idea. I'm going to give that a shot, right? Because why not? It's not going to hurt you at all. I mean, give
Very
it a
private. It's very
yeah.
private. You can negotiate these issues with yourself on paper. So the best ways to come up with ideas is writing them down, even if you have no ideas. And I mean that for any subject. Just start writing it down, and you'll be amazed what you know.
Yeah, I love that. Well, again, thank you, Benton. And I want to say thank you to all our past guests. Thank you to our future guests. We got a lot of great guests that's coming up. And again, thank you to Dave and Susan Kenny with the Emergo Academy. I love and appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being my coaches and always being there for me, especially times when I'm in need of getting some advice as well. And guys, mark your calendars for October 3rd in Sandy, Utah. We're going to be holding our 6th Healing Utah Success Summit. We've got a lot of great speakers that's going to be coming out and speaking. We've got a good event that's going to happen this year. And also keep in mind that the show is going to be changing its name from AR, The Other Side of Addiction, to Through the Storm. So keep your eyes out. I'm still working on some things, just getting it out there so you guys know that the show is still going to continue. It's just that we're rebranding the name. So again, Benton, thank you for everything that you've done and for opening up and reaching out. We're going to leave you with this as we do at the end of every show. Remember, guys, addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.